What's up, Breakthrough Beat School members? This is a quick presentation about a free bonus that I'm giving you. This is called Breakthrough Beat School Polish. And in a second, I'm about to tell you why this Breakthrough Beat School Polish file is important, and most importantly, how to use it to really improve your music. So what is this Breakthrough Beat School Polish file used for? It's not Polish, it's Polish. Anyway, this project file is basically just a collection of done-for-you synth channels that you can plug and play into your machine if you really want to improve the quality of your mix very quickly. So with this project file, basically all you have to do is route your sounds through these synth channels, and you'll be able to instantly hear improvement in your music. It's very quick, it's very easy, it's already done for you. In just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how you can use these Breakthrough Beat School Polish synth channels to get some awesome results with your music. But first, let me kind of explain to you exactly what a synth channel is, in case you do not know. Now, there's more information about synth channels in the synth channel video within Breakthrough Beat School. I'm going to link that below in the description. But really quickly, let me give you an explanation. Now, this is a diagram of what a synth channel is. Okay? Typically, if you were to apply an effect directly to the sound level of your sound and machine, so let me show you what that might look like. So say right here I have a kick drum legend. Typically, you could just throw on a EQ directly on what's called the signal chain. That's directly on the sound. Okay? That would be like applying it to the original signal right here. Throw an EQ right in this section. So before it gets to the mixing bus, there's going to be an EQ on the audio signal. Now, running your sound through a synth channel yields a different result than just applying it directly to your signal channel, or your signal chain, excuse me. So how are they different? Well, by sending your sounds through a synth channel, you're creating a second duplicate version of your sound that's going to get mixed into the mixing bus. So you have the original sound as well as a second duplicated sound. Okay, so in this situation, this is a compressor that's applied in synth channels. And basically, both of these sounds are mixed together then, and they typically create two different variations of the same sound that when combined together, it makes them sound better, or at least that's the goal. Okay, so by running the sound through the synth channel, you're creating a second version of your original sound, a duplicate, and both combined together make a more fuller version of your sound. So in this situation, if you were to apply a compressor synth channel to your drums, it would make the kick drum more thick when combined to yield a better result. So like I said, for more information, I'll get more in depth about synth channels inside of the synth channel video and the parallel compression video within Breakthrough Beat School. I'm not going to jump into too much detail right now. So let's talk about for a second why this project file is important for you musically. Now, you can make a huge amount of improvement in your sound in a really short amount of time by using this Breakthrough Beat School Polish synth channel groups. Okay, these synth channels are basically going to help you in a number of ways. Let's talk about the three specific ways that this is going to help you with your music. Number one, when you're making a beat, oftentimes you kind of find yourself using the same combination of effects and processing each time you sit down, right? So instead of applying the same effects over and over and over again, you can use these synth channels. For example, I find myself applying reverb. If I was not to use synth channels, I'd find myself applying a similar reverb setup to multiple different sounds within my project file. So I might apply it to a reverb to my samples. I might apply a reverb on the sound level to my kick drum, my bass, my hi-hats, my snare. And already, if you're applying a reverb directly on the sound level to all those different sounds, you might have 4 or 5 instances of reverb implemented inside of your track, which is not good, which I'll explain in a second. But basically, it allows you to use your sounds, or use a reverb, for example, and only plug it in one instance within your track, and then run every sound through that instance. Okay, so every sound is being routed through the same reverb synth channel, as you saw up here, so that you don't have to apply 4 different instances of reverb within your track. You only need 1, okay, or maybe 2, instead of weighing down your CPU. So by using these, you'll also be able to get a more professional sound. And by that I mean synth channels are the tools that all your favorite engineers are using to make their beats sound professional. Okay, every piece of modern recorded hip-hop has used synth channels to mix the music. So it adds another layer of depth, realism, and professionalism to your beats once you know how to use them right. And I'm going to show you in a second. Last and finally, and this kind of relates to the previous two, it helps save your CPU power on your computer, right? So instead of applying the same combination of effects directly to your signal channel on the sound or the group level and having, 4 different reverbs or 8 different reverbs implemented in different places in your beat, you can route them through one synth channel and only use one instance. So like I said, instead of inserting different reverbs in your synths, your drums, your samples, you can use the same reverb in your synth channel and route every sound that needs a reverb through this one place. And it will help your computer basically keep speed. And this is important when using Machine because Machine is not really it doesn't handle processing in the same way that a DAW does. And DAWs, you can plug in, a seemingly infinite amount of effects. Not an infinite, but enough for your computer to handle. So if you have a slower computer, this is going to be important. So let's jump into the how-to. I know you guys want to know how to use this package. So let me explain kind of what's going on. So first, you're going to load up the synth channels by clicking the open group. Okay, I already have it loaded in here, but I'll show you how to do it for yourself. So you're going to right click. In this case, I'm using a Mac. So I'm control clicking on my Mac, pressing open. And as you can see right here, I have the Beat School BBS Polish group already saved. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to download this project file. I sent it to you in the attachment of the email, but you can also download it below in the notes for this video. Save it in the groups section of your Machine MK2 file, or wherever you want to save, or wherever you typically save the groups in your Machine projects, and load up the BBS Polish group. Okay, and it's that simple. You'll get all the synth channels already in there. Since I already have it, I'm going to delete this for a second because it's already up here. Alright, so right now I'm going to walk you through a simple example of how I'd use this project file to really improve my drum sounds. Okay, as you're about to see, this is really powerful stuff. So I'm going to take a few minutes and you're going to see me adjust a few knobs, click a few buttons, and the results of my drums are going to be really improved. So you'll watch me work in a second. And for now, let me show you kind of what I've already done, and then I'm going to remove all these and then sort of try to build it back up that way. Let me see what's good. All right, let's start. Alright, so you get it. Alright, so all these synth channels are already applied. So basically what I'm going to do is jump in and sort of disconnect all of them just so that you have a better idea and you can watch me work in a more organic way to see how I'd actually use them when creating my beat from scratch. So let's go ahead and remove all of these. So in order to make this example more simple, you're only going to see me apply these synth channels to the drums within my track. And the reason being is I don't want to overcomplicate things. Make it a little bit easier for you to understand what's going on. So let me explain kind of how I would use these really quickly. And as I get this... Alright, okay. So let's first go ahead and jump in and look and see what we have. So we have NY compression, which is also known as parallel compression. We have thick grit, which is more of a drums and bass synth channel that I like to use. Crunch, which is for drums, basically more of a lo-fi crunch on top of your drum sounds. Metaverb, which can be used on everything. It'll area up your sounds and make them more bright and full and lush kind of. Kick up, which is basically a kick drum, so more punch on the upper frequencies of the kick drum. We have snare layer below that, and I use this to add more snap on the snare drum. Drum room. Put all the drum groups, or I use this to kind of run all of my drum group through this synth channel, and it basically gives the impression that all of the drum sounds are recorded in the same room. We have grit bass, which is I use for 808s typically. Make some more thickness on your 808. Grit distortion, which I use on bass and synth sounds. It makes things more crunchy, angry, kind of aggressive. And burb, which is a reverb for everything. So let me go ahead and jump into this drum group, so I'll let you see what it sounds like without any synth channels. And I'm going to slowly start throwing on synth channels and explaining kind of what I'm doing along the way. Now I should also mention that these synth channels aren't going to take your sounds from like 0 to 60 by just throwing on one effect. It's more about the cumulative effect of adding all of these synth channels throughout your track. So say you might have 15 different sounds going on in your track, through the drum groups to the other sounds within your track, maybe 15 different sounds. Incrementally, throwing on a synth channel on one of these sounds, on each one of these sounds, might add a 1% increase, okay? Now, by itself, it's not going to significantly increase the track. But 1% increase over 15 different sounds, that's a 15% increase overall, is really going to amp up the polish of your track. So it's kind of key to use the synth channels. And I'm going to show you exactly what I would do in this drum group. So let's go ahead and start. So first of all, this is the standard plugin on the sound level in the machine. We're not going to do anything over here right now. I already have some effects applied there. But you're going to jump into this little circular tab here and make sure that you're in the output section. The output section is going to allow you to route your synth channels. There's an audio tab and there's an aux tab. The aux tab is what we'll use to run our synth channels. Make sure the order is leveled to post. You also have pre. Post is what we're going to use for now. So okay, this is the instance, this is the place that you can load in all of your synth channels. And as you can see, when you click in the middle right here, you can also press this down button or turn the knobs on the machine hardware. I typically just click. You'll have the access to the menu of all of the synth channels within the BBS Polish group. The compression, thick grit, crunch, so on and so forth. Basically, you'll use that and you'll dial in a specific one and then sort of dial in the level by reducing or boosting the sound. Typically, I'll find myself reducing the sound the majority of the time, or reducing the level. Let me see what it sounds like really quickly. So I'm going to isolate the sounds first. Okay, so I'm going to start with only one sound just so you can see what it sounds like, and then I'm going to slowly add synth channels and build this drum group from there. So that sounds really good. So I'm gonna turn it all the way down, and then slowly increase the level so we can really hear what it sounds like. So that's the grit bass applied to a sub kick within the Machine 2.0. If you don't have Machine 2.0, I'd go ahead and grab it because it's effing awesome. Alright, so this is the sub kick. I use the grit bass to increase that sound. As you can see, it totally added more boominess to it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Alright, so I'm going to move on to the next sound, which is going to be my upper frequency kick drum. Let's combine these together. So I use the kick up send channel and sort of dial that in. The kick up send channel, right, is more punch on the upper frequencies of the upper kick drum. So this boomy kick drum is going to be the lower frequencies around 40 hertz. This kick up is applied to the upper frequencies, which is going to boost the frequencies around like 130 hertz and above to really make a more full kick drum when both of these sounds are combined together. And then I added some crunch, and as you can see, the crunch is in the very upper frequencies. It added a little bit more, sort of sound to the top of the kick drum. So as you can see, basically by adding that crunch, the kick up in the 130 hertz frequencies and the 808 sound, all that's combined together, it makes a really full kick drum because it's hitting in all the frequency ranges at once. It makes everything more in your face. So let's see what that sounds like again. And I'm gonna sort of turn all this stuff down and then start dialing it up. Okay, that's good. Alright, so let's move on to the next sound. Let's say, I believe this is the snare right here. Oh, no, it's not. We've got another kick drum, actually. So, guys, this is some work that I'm going to have to go do later. This is, basically I have 3 kick drums inserted in here. And what I'm going to have to do is really EQ these 3 kick drums together. I'm not doing a great job of this right now, so don't take my lead and follow what I'm doing. Typically, I'd have to sculpt out a lot of frequencies within all 3 of these sounds to make them sit better. I'd also have to do some work with envelope to really make sure that I'm capturing the best characteristics of each sound, so they're not, super muddy when I combine all of them together. So typically, I wouldn't do it this way, but just for the quickness of this demonstration, I'm not going to go in and fix everything. So let's keep moving. So that was the herb verb. I'm basically going to turn it all the way down and then sort of level it up, increase it slightly slowly to taste. So we've got the herb verb, it's just, the reverb that we applied. I can apply pretty much to everything. And also the crunch, so a little bit more lo-fi on that as well. So it sounds pretty good right now. As we introduce the other sounds, let's sweeten everything a little bit up. So let's go ahead and So this is the snare layer, and as I said earlier, this is for more snap on the snare drum. Okay, it basically is boosting the frequencies with an EQ in our parallel channel, and it's also, I think, a transient master, so it controls the transient frequencies and makes more snap in that kick drum. I mean, in that snare drum, excuse me. So I'm going to tune it up or level it up for taste. So another thing, guys, you can really start to experiment and be creative with these synth channels to sweeten them up to your own taste. A lot of sounds, there's not really a specific formula that you got to follow. Just basically about kind of experimenting on what's going on. So let me go ahead and let's see how long this has been. Let me go ahead and throw on some more sounds and I'm going to sort of fly through this. I'm not going to explain everything that's going on just for the sake of time, but kind of watch what I'm doing. It's going to follow the same process. You're going to see me click a synth channel destination and then slowly level it up for taste. Again, for the sake of the timing of this video, there'd be more mixing work that I'd have to do once I apply these synth channels. Specifically, and most importantly probably, is jumping in the mixing board again and adjusting all the levels of these sounds to get the balance down correct. I want to adjust all the levels of these sounds mainly because by applying these synth channels, I'm really changing the characteristics of these sounds, and I'm also changing the loudness of each of these sounds. So the mix that I had before, the balance I had before, isn't going to be exactly as perfect as it was or as good as it was before. I'm going to need to reapply the balance again and readjust everything as these synth channels are being added for taste, basically, to make it sound as good as it possibly can. Another thing, guys, it's important to listen to these sounds together, okay? Don't make mixing judgments with sounds in isolation. So as you saw me do really quickly, I soloed the sound by pressing Control and clicking on this Mac, or you can also do it with a right click on a PC, I believe. And basically it isolated the sound from the rest of the group. If you're making mixing decisions in isolation, you're not going to be able to really tell what the sound will sound like together. Okay, so it's important to make all your mixing judgments with all the sounds playing, and that makes you make better decisions about the processing and things you're adding to your mix. So that's pretty much it, guys. So as you can see, it's really simple, and we didn't really do much to increase the CPU of the, or increase the load on our CPU on our computer. So routing all of these sounds really helps create a more polished sound, more thick sound, and more professional sound by just doing a few quick adjustments and twisting one knob. There's not as many decisions to make as when you're applying a sound or a mixing decision directly onto your sound level, right? So, you'd have to make specific adjustments to about 10 different knobs. Whereas with these BBS Polish synth channels, you're basically just sweetening to taste. All you saw me do was make simple adjustments to one knob, and that was just the level. Okay, now if you want, you can go in and dial in these synth channels a little bit more closely to what you want. Alright, so say for example I'm working with this 808 only right now. Let's say I want to make a specific adjustment to this 808, and I know right now it's routed to the grit bass synth channel. I can jump into this grit bass synth channel as this is playing and sort of manipulate the effects chains. As you just saw me do, I'm in the BBS Polish group. I'm in the signal path on the sound level, and as you can see, these are all the plugins that are used to make this grit bass synth channel. So when I'm throwing a sound through this grit bass, the secondary sound is getting filtered, a low pass filter, only on the low frequencies, so below 139.7 hertz. It's getting compressed, and it's also getting distorted. Okay, so I can go in here and dial in specific settings within these effects in order to manipulate the overall sound of this 808 kick drum I'm working with to dial it into where I want to do it, right? So let me show you kind of really quickly what that would sound like. So maybe that doesn't sound very musical, but you kind of get the point, right? So just some simple adjustments to these synth channels. By throwing extra effects on that signal chain, on this synth channel signal chain, or adjusting the signal chain that you already have to taste, can add another level of another level of manipulation that you can use on your sounds to really mix them the way that you want. You don't have to do it this way, but if you're more advanced, I would recommend going in here and kind of fiddling with the synth channels that I've already set up, so to sweeten them to taste with every specific sound. So like I said, man, this is a great way to start really increasing the professionalism of your tracks, okay? So experiment with these synth channels, sweeten them to your taste, really have at it, you guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and write them in the comments below this video. But right now, I want you to go ahead and jump into this BBS Polish synth channel group and start implementing them in a drum beat that you're making, all right? So start to experiment by jumping in here and applying synth channels on the sound level and experimenting with the sounds that you're working with to really fatten them up, thicken them up, and make them sound a little bit better. So as you can see, guys, a reminder, small incremental increases in change or small improvements in your track over a wide variety of sounds is really going to improve the overall sound. So, little 0.5% improvements here and there spread across the entire track can really improve a lot. So jump on in and start experimenting with this, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.